5-gallon jugs of ocean water straight on this tree. Does that look like it's over-salted? Does anybody know what egg fruit is? No. Lucuma. Lucuma egg fruit. It's the highest calorie fruit in the world. If you're a raw foodist, it's really a good thing because it tastes like pumpkin pie. Sweetened pumpkin pie. Egg fruit. Lucuma. Yeah. Great tree. Okay, we'll go to the next image. This is out of order, huh? Probably. Okay, so I'm going to jump between Canada and Hawaii. So I've been doing this, and I love tropical plants, and especially tropical power plants, if you know what I mean. Does anybody know what I mean? Like the most power. Okay, you do. And then I also love temperate climate farming. This was in the middle of our garden. This is all massive, 31 different types of rock dust. Ocean water concentrates, all different Ormus products, pretty much everything you've seen here, all different kinds of wet precipitate, my Ormus gold, everything has gone into that soil. The whole shoot and match, biodynamic farming preps, all 11 of them, or 9, is there 9 of them? How many is there? That's all in there. Just the whole thing. We've gone down to the beaver dams right where spring water comes out at the bottom of the hill, brought that river silt up on our back, put that right into there, bat guano from the cliff right next to the house. I mean, everything you can possibly think of. Taking mushrooms. You want to know an Ormus trapping technique that you never heard before? You take mushrooms from the trees, which are Ormus concentrators. We'll get there tomorrow. And you burn them down in a reduction reaction where you clamp them completely shut so they cannot get any oxygen. And when it gets really hot in like a wood-burning stove and you clamp it shut, anybody ever done that? And it burns the hydrogen instead of the oxygen, and therefore the Ormus doesn't get oxidized. You ever heard of this? Yes. By the way, on that point, we know that flame and heat actually disturbs the Ormus at a nuclear level. It can actually flip it and turn it into a metal, for example. That oxidation causes nuclear changes in atomic matter. I just got to throw that out there because anything other than that idea is totally crazy. And it's caused all the problems with physics and chemistry that we have today. When you burn something, there are nuclear changes, atomic changes happening in the material that you're burning. And that if you burn Ormus in an open flame, for example, it will oxidize and most of it will be turned into a metal. But if you do it in a reduction reaction, clamp it shut, you can capture a bunch of it in the ash. You take that ash, and that's been put in that garden.
Terra Prieta.
Is that what you do with
What's that called?
Terra Prieta.
Terra Prieta. That's an Ayurvedic technique. Is that right?
No, Terra Prieta is the whole area of the Amazon. They're finding all of these Terra Prieta areas where it's charcoal and really deep, dark soil. And they were putting the ash in a reduction
environment.
And we think that collects the Ormus, just like you said.
Yeah, that's been my experience. So that's gone in there. Horsetail. Right? You guys know about the plant horsetail. Horsetail has been here since the beginning of time. It's one of the oldest plants on Earth. I collect horsetail. Spring water comes out of the ground, comes down through 2 beaver dams, and it grows right on the rim of that beaver dam, right near my house. The aquifer in this place in Ontario, Canada, under the Canadian Shield, apparently contains 80% of the world's fresh water. Under the Canadian Shield, 12 miles. There's a crack in the Canadian Shield right up on the top of a mountain, highest mountain within 100 miles. And the guy down below, our property line is that crack. Out of that crack comes this water. Wow. That's what originally got me there to begin with. And then the way I got that place is, he called me up and said, the deal that was going to happen for that house fell through, you better jump on it now. I called the realtor, said, I'll take it, right, just like that. Cool. And we're using that water and then trapping that water also, that's going in here, just the whole 9 yards. So there was literally love in the middle of our garden this year. You see the double heart there?
That's right.
I don't know. I think there's consciousness.
It's
standing room only. It's Ontario, Canada. Consciousness in this world, the alone idea, we're alone in the universe, or whatever that aberration of consciousness was, thank God that's over with. It's standing room only, and it's always been like that. Every molecule is conscious, and every single water is the most conscious. Water is the most conscious thing in the world, and water communicates with all dimensions simultaneously, and that's why I am big on water. I think water is the answer, the solution. It saves you. It saves the environment. When you tune in on that, you can go to that creek right there and drink that water and feel like $1 million. Actually, $1 million isn't worth anything anymore. So you feel more like $1 billion. Okay, so that's...
It's not working now.
Uh-oh.
Is your Noni land on a big island, David?
Noni lands on Kauai, North Shore of Hawaii. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, we can just jump it from here. Can we do that?
Yeah.
The next one over. Okay. Yep. That was a when I took that picture, that was a 2-year-old apple tree. I checked, I did, just before I got on the flight to come here, the last couple evenings ago, I went and checked that thing. It's like that now. It's 4 years old.
Wow.
It's massive. The reason why is not just all the Ormus and rock dust and everything, but because we actually store the rock dust right next to it, and that massive rock dust, even though it's completely insulated from the soil, it's tarped. So it cannot touch the soil at all. It doesn't affect the soil at all. But it's like a battery that causes such a charge that this plant is actually reacting to it. Okay, so let's go on.
Just by proximity.
Just by proximity. We know that there are effects with Ormus just based on proximity. Okay, so we know what that is. That's actually hemp. That isn't the other plant. Strangely enough, in this particular bed, we grew the Native American style. We did everything possible with soil, every Ormus concentrate, everything. But what we did that was different on this particular bed is we did the Native American combination of a legume with a cucurbit with corn and tobacco, and then we threw a hemp in there, and that hemp was the best one of all of them. That's that one right there. This is a tobacco that I grew with Ormus. That's 4 months of growth.
Holy,
That's my hand around the action. Yeah, holy smokes is the right aphorism comb there. That's 4 months. In fact, I had to leave Hawaii. When I came back 4 months later, I said, what happened to my tobacco plant? And I was like, wait a second. It's a tree now. It was a tree. That thing turned into a tree. And so I thought, I got to get a picture of the base of this thing. Because it's like literally at the tree level.
Do you
so I
ingest that
went in
at
there. I do ingest tobacco, actually.
So it was a sacred plant of the North American Indian.
Let's just jump back there for a second, real quick. Here's the truth about tobacco. Tobacco is easily, by far, the most powerful plant in the world. That's the facts. When you're dealing with every aspect of it, the chemistry of it, the potency of it, it contains more minerals than any land plant in the world. 27% minerals. Your average plant, like lettuce, 3%. So when you take all the water out, there's still a huge amount of ash left over. So we've been growing tobacco with Ormus. Now I'm going to show you an image. We'll get to an image where we grew a tobacco plant that came from a tomb. The seed came from a tomb in British Columbia on Vancouver Island that was dug up by an anthropologist, friend of a friend, and he brought us the seed to our house in Canada, and we grew that plant with the whole shoot and match, everything we got, and we grew it, it grew, and we produced, out of that whole batch, we're the only ones that actually produced 3 completely mature plants that fully seeded, and I'll show you that picture. That picture will blow your mind. In 2008, that was probably the most interesting plant experiment happening in the world. In the whole world. I mean, imagine a tobacco, ancient strain, rustica tobacco. This is tobacum. This is a different variety that was grown in South America. They brought it into the Caribbean, the Native Americans did. Columbus showed up in the Caribbean. All the Europeans then began to replicate tobacum, which was unknown in North America. And they brought it to the colonies of America, like Virginia, Maryland, Georgia, etc. And so what's been grown here isn't the original tobacco that the Native Americans used. I'll show you a picture of what they used in this region of the world. They didn't use tobacum. They used this plant. And this plant is rustica tobacco, which has the smaller leaf. And this is Mohawk tobacco, actually. And this is a little bit different than the one that we grew the year before. This is what's growing right now in my garden. This is a rustica tobacco variety. And it has small leaves and it has a shorter flower. Generally, the tobacco has a trumpet flower.
Are you eating or smoking that?
Well, we use it in all different ways. We make smudges out of it. So you've heard of smudging, like where you burn something and just smudge your whole house. So we do that with our tobacco. We also put a tiny little bit in the tea because it's nicotine and nicotinamide and niacin and niacinamide, vitamin B3 are all the same. They didn't tell you that. They've been trying not to tell you that. That's why when you go into a health food store, you're like, hey, where's the vitamin B3? I'm trying to get off smoking tobacco. Oh, we don't have it. Why not? Why they have everything else, but vitamin B3 they don't have. Look, go.
Niacin,
niacinamide, nicotine, and nicotinamide are chemically identical. So vitamin B3 is nicotine. They didn't tell you that, but you should know that. Because if you take enough vitamin B3, guess what you get?
A nice rush.
You got it, right? And that's the same exact rush as a tobacco rush. It's a flush, flushes you out.